Hey everybody, welcome to another exciting episode of Javier In The Air. I'm coming to you today, Sunday, August 29th, out of my home, almost as always, here in Cedar Park, in the Cedar Park, Austin area. It's nice and sunny right now, but we've been getting different bands from I like to call them bands. I'm not sure if they're bands or not. I didn't get to look on the map. But there is a hurricane coming towards the East Coast, actually specifically the Florida coast, Florida, Louisiana area, so more of the Gulf Coast area. And so what we've been seeing here is what I like to call bands. I don't know if it's true or not, but bands in being that one moment it's nice and sunny and you're like, yeah, it's nice and sunny, I'm going to go outside and do something. And then like 35, 45 minutes later, dark clouds will come, maybe a little rain. Just enough moisture and bad weather to get you a little bit wet if you're still outside, and then you go back inside and you say, well, I guess I'm going to do things inside the house, and then the sun comes out again and it bakes us and stews us in our own juices if you go outside. So those are the kind of bands that I'm talking about. So I lived in South Florida for a total of 10 years, and those were the kind of bands that we would see all the time. So I'm calling this weekend bands. So it hasn't rained today. It's been mostly sunny, but it was pretty cloudy this morning. I'll show you a little bit about that. So I'm going to do some various things today. We're going to talk a little bit about health. We're going to talk a little bit about gardening. We're going to talk a little bit about sports. And then we'll have our Zen moment, and then we'll get into our beer moment. Our beer section, I should say. So for those of you who are new, welcome to Javier In The Air. For those of you who have been here a while, you know who I am and you know what I do. And I'm always looking for a quick little plug for my show. I always try to, not always, I try my best to find people and talk about subjects that people are passionate about in the first section of the podcast. And then on the second part of the podcast, I talk about beer. So if you're passionate about beer, then that section is for you. If you're not, then the first section might be more to your liking. I do have some people who like both, so that works out great for me since that's what I do. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about health. So I'm going to show you something here that I have from when I went walking this morning. And for those of you who may not know, I was about a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed as being type 2 diabetes and having high blood pressure. So with that diagnosis, I decided that I needed to, well, with the doctor's help, that I needed to change a bit of the way I was eating and the way I was working out. So as far as the working out goes, I needed to add to the workout I was doing. Obviously, I wasn't getting enough cardio in, even though I thought I was, but I do have some bad knees, and so I was using that as a lame excuse to not do too much cardio. So that became a problem. So what I decided to do is the day after I saw my doctor, I went out and started doing walking. For those of you who may have bad knees, or those of you who'd like to get back into running, I would recommend walking first, seeing how your body feels, seeing how your knees feel, how your hips feel, and all that before you start getting into it pretty deep. Now, for those of you who are doing, like to do like a couch to run type of thing, I recommend their workout. You can go check it out. I know that I will probably never be able to run that much ever again due to my knees until I get knee replacements, which I'm hoping will go. I can go another 10 years before I get them done. Here's hoping. So one of the things I did was I started doing a half mile. I looked up Google Maps and I decided to go the distance way. So I went to Google Maps and I looked and I charted a path from my front door, which you can do this in Google if you switch over to walking, the walking button on their maps. And I marked out 0.25 of a mile. So then every day for I was doing it 4 times a week, but I recommend doing it 3 times a week for those of you who are starting from scratch. I went from my front door and I did my 2.25 mile, and then I came back. However long that took me, didn't matter. I would go there and I would come back. So I started doing that, and I did that for about a month. Now, if you want to do the time thing, which again I recommend doing the distance thing for especially for people of my age and older. But if you're younger and you want to start out from scratch, or you're starting out from scratch, let's put it that way, then you can go on Google as well, and you can say, well, you can do the Google afterwards. What you do is you just say, I'm going to go a half hour. So you walk to wherever your 15 minutes is, and then you turn right around. Now, there's many different ways that you can do to track yourself on time-wise, and you can do that as well. I figured I would do distance. So I did distance, quarter mile out, quarter mile back. So I did that for about a month. And I would recommend to you, for whichever way you do it, whichever distance or time that you use, stick to that for about a month. You may, towards the end of that month, start saying, hey, I get done and I feel great. I can do more. That's fine. Stick to it for about a month. It takes about 3 weeks to form a habit, and it takes about 3 minutes to break it. So you want to form that habit, and you want to just keep doing it and keep doing it. So, after that first month, if you're going by distance like I did, I said, okay, now I want to go a mile. And I was feeling great, and I was like, a mile is nothing. I can do a mile. And I did a mile, but I was like, wow, this sucks. This was not a half mile. It's twice as much, and it feels twice as bad. But I kept on it. So, those of you doing the time, maybe you want to go 45 minutes. Out 22 and a half, back 22 and a half. If you want to make it easier in your mind, out half an hour, back half an hour. So that's the way to get it done. And again, stick to that for a month. I know some of you might want to jump forward, and if you're in a healthier, better level, then by all means do it. But then do that, whatever that is, do that for a month, and then come back. Now, what I found was not only did it help me to lose weight, because I was also changing my diet, which I was getting rid of almost all of the processed food that I had in the house. I also got rid of almost all sodium, which comes a lot from processed foods. I also got rid of all sweets, all sugars. Just about everything that had sweetness to it, I got rid of, and so I was able to do that, which made it better because I lost weight. It was easier on the hips, easier on the knees. Now, I don't have much of a hip problem, except when I really change my stride for whatever reason. I think sometimes when I get lost in thought, I'll start walking differently, and I notice that in my hips. But if I don't, then my only real problem is knees, and right now my knees are struggling a little bit, but they were doing good for a long time. I know I've gained a little bit of weight back, so I need to get back on it. And so if you have problem with your knees, I recommend then going longer at a lower distance or a lower time and give your knees a chance. Don't wake up one morning and you feel great and you go on a 3-mile hike or a 2-mile run or a 2-mile walk even, and you come back and your knees are shredded and you're unable to do anything, and you can't do anything for the next 2 weeks because your knees are shredded. If you have bad knees, protect your knees, go slower, go shorter distance until your knees get used to it. At least hopefully get used to it. Mine did. But there's some people whose knees are that bad. If your knees are that bad, then I recommend getting them checked out and doing that. So you start a small distance or a short time, and you move your way up. So this morning I walked for about almost an hour and a half, and I went about 3 3/4, 3.75 miles. listening to music, which I highly recommend you do, or your audio books, or whatever you want to do, something to occupy, just, get your mind going. Some people like to go out and straight in nature, but they also probably go somewhere to a nice park or something like that. I am one of the proponent for, why should I drive somewhere to walk when I can just walk here? And some people don't get that, and that's fine. I just go out my front door and walk. I get to see nature, I get to see people, I get to see animals, I get to see parks as I walk by. So I don't think I'm missing anything. I don't think there. Plus, I get into my head a lot, and that's just kind of stuff that goes by. I don't really stop and think about it much. I just kind of move forward, and if it's a nice day, it feels nice, and I'm listening to my music. And so do whatever that helps you get through your workout. Now, I hate to call it a workout because people are totally against working out, but it's going to help your body if you keep moving. I've always told this to the people I've worked out with and that come with me and work out in my garage, that part of the reason that I do this is so I don't need help coming off of the toilet, or coming out of my chair, or coming out of the thing. I live alone. If I can't do any of those things, especially as I get older, I'm going to need to have someone assisting me with living, and that's not something I want. For no real reason other than I don't bother to exercise so that I can get out of a chair. If you can't get out of a chair, as you get older, you're going to be in a world of hurt. So let's try to avoid that. Okay, so walking, get that out, get that off the list for today. So I'm going to continue as always for now until we have either kicked it or it becomes as simple as the standard flu. But I'm going to talk about COVID vaccines. So I believe it was this week, or it was still part of this week. I think it was this week, where the FDA announced that the Pfizer vaccine is now been given their approval. So prior to that, all the other vaccines that are being used in the United States and most of the world, I would assume, I don't know the list of all the ones that are out there, but I know the ones in the United States, specifically because it has to do with the FDA, were not FDA approved. They were under a emergency, statute, whatever you want to call it, that allowed these vaccines to start being used by the general population because it hadn't had a chance to go through the vigorous FDA testing that gives it the stamp of approval from the FDA. So I did have some people who were armchair scientists, let's say, as I used last time, and felt that one of the reasons, there are many reasons that have been told to me about why they don't want to do it, but one of the ones that they used to say, or some of my friends used to tell me, that they don't want to get the shot because it wasn't FDA approved, so they don't know how good or bad it could be, and they were always, it's going to be bad because the FDA hadn't approved anything. Well, guess what? The FDA approved the vaccine for the Pfizer. So if you are one of those armchair scientists who feel that the FDA, it had to have the FDA or nothing, and that was one of your arguments, or that was the argument you were using, it is now approved. So shut up and go get the Pfizer vaccine. That's all there is to it. Shut up and go get the Pfizer vaccine. So there's, the ICU beds are filling up again. I think there's actually some room now. So if you don't want to get the vaccine and you wind up on an intubator, guess what? Maybe you'll get one of those ICU beds and you won't have to wait like some of the other people. And I'm just beginning to read some articles about how some people can't get into or can't get an ICU bed because they're loaded with COVID, unvaccinated people. And so they're having to wait, but their issue is something else that's causing them to need an ICU bed. So how about we try to free up some of the ICU beds and go that way, right? So, and like I posted on my Facebook page, is if you are afraid if you were afraid of the FDA and not sure what you were getting the shot for, not afraid of the FDA, of non-FDA approved vaccines because you weren't sure what you were putting into your body, then please, every time you eat, I'd like you to look up all the chemicals and ingredients that are in whatever you eat, the impacts of said chemicals and ingredients on your body, the long-term effects of said ingredients and chemicals in your body before you even take a bite. That's for everything. You're going to eat a banana, you better look that up and get all the ingredients and make sure what is the long-term effects of eating a banana on a Sunday morning. Right? Okay, so you're going to have that McDonald's sausage biscuit? Oh, man, you better look up and see what the impact of sausage is going to be on your heart. Are you putting suntan lotion on your body? Fine, that's good. It protects you from the sun, right? You better look up all the long-term effects on that and see what's going to do. So the thing is, if you're calling out one thing for saying you're not sure what goes into your body, then the next time I see you, you better be able to tell me all the ingredients of what it is that you're about to eat, that you're about to put in your body, and whether or not you know the effects of it. I know a lot of people that are saying this, and yet they're drinking booze. We know for a fact what the booze, what alcohol will do to your body, especially long term, and yet they're still going to do it, aren't they? For the people that do drugs, same thing. If you know exactly what that drug is going to do to you long term, then by all means be sure and take it. If you don't, then don't tell me that you're concerned about what you put in your body, because you're obviously not. So for those of you that are doing that kind of dance, your card has been punched. Get a shot. Okay, so now I'm going to show you a little bit of my walking that I saw this morning on my 3.75 mile, I think it was 3.75 mile walk. Like I said, one of the bands was coming through, so I wanted to show you what I get to see out on my walk before we get into our Zen moment. So here, take a look. Okay, so I finally decided to do, or not finally, but I decided to do a panoramic shot of Anderson Mill. This is Anderson Mill right past the real steep part, or the steep part, either way, either going down or going up it. And so I started taking this panoramic shot because there was nobody there, and then some cars started driving by, and then this older individual, I say older, he definitely looked older than I did, but he was pumping it out, getting his workout in. Really great shot of the sky and how it looked when I was out there this morning, August 29th. This is about 9:40 in the morning. Really nice. So really cool shot of Anderson Mill this morning. So for those of you who live in the Cedar Park, Austin area, or live actually in my neighborhood, I know there's a couple of you out there, you can figure out where I was. But what I do is I'm off of Hickory Drive. I come on to El Salito, and then I turn, well, this is for this morning, and then I turned right heading towards Cypress Creek, and I walked all the way up to Old Mill Road. And from Old Mill Road I took a left, and Old Mill Road dumps me out on Anderson Mill. Now Anderson Mill Road is a very windy road, especially at that part. Now where I'm talking, I'm already on the other side of 620. There's the HEB on the corner of 620 or Anderson Mill. I'm talking about over here. So get off on or dump out on Old Mill onto Anderson Mill Road, and then there's two ways you can go. This morning I took a left and decided to go down. So say I'm here at Old Mill Road and Anderson Mill. You come out and it starts taking you down a little ways. Pretty steep if you're walking. If you're driving, you really probably don't notice it as much, but when you're walking, you definitely notice it. And then it goes up for a bit, and then it just straightens out right before you get to Anderson Mill Road and 620. So for those walking it or biking it, it can be brutal. It's steep. It is no... Excuse me, there is absolutely no shade, really. There's a couple of trees, but I mean, you're only underneath those trees for like 3 or 4 seconds, and then you're back out again. So there's really no shading. And I went earlier than I had in a while, and it was still hot. The clouds were out, so it felt better, but it was already thermometer was already beginning to climb. So luckily, I got out there as early as I did. But if you notice on that photo, well, you noticed the guy twice because I extended the photo on there. So a nice panoramic shot from my phone. But you notice that there was sun on the left hand side there, and then it was dark clouds. Now there's pretty much no clouds now. So I'm thinking again that we're getting those bands going from the hurricane that's going to be hitting the Gulf Coast, or if not already hitting parts of it right now. But that's the walk. So anyway, so I get back. So to get back to finish the walk, so I get up Anderson Mill to 620, and then I take a left, and I go down 620 till I hit El Salito, and then I take a left, and I'm on El Salito, and I walk my way home. So that is about 3.75 miles. I have taken a more elongated route. I need to get there again. That's about 4.5 miles. So I need to get back there again. This is a good distance for me right now until I can get back into the swing of things and get back to walking 5 days a week, and not having any issue with my knees, and so that'll be nice. So the earlier the better. When I do walks during the week, I only do about 2.6 miles. I go up El Salito to Cypress Creek. I touch the street, and then I head on back to the homestead. So that's about 2.61 miles. And so if I can do that 3 times a week, and then I do my long walk on Sunday, I should say, then I've had a good week. So I have rededicated myself to that. I was only doing it like once or twice, and then I would do the long walk. And I noticed, of course, because you're not walking as much as you had, that the long walk starts to hurt. So I need to start getting back, rededicating myself as of this morning to get back to doing it at least 4 days a week, hopefully 5. So I'll be a little bit honest there. I'd like to do 5 days a week, where I get 4 Monday through Thursday, and then I walk on Sunday. Lately, I've been flubbing that because I've been doing a lot of gardening. But anyway, that's that for me. So, all right. So we talked about vaccines. We talked about medicine. Let's talk a little bit about gardening. I am getting the melons going. I'm about to go out there here in a bit and just double check them. I was watching them on Friday. I have put one of those. I want to call it a circular trellis, but I don't know what the actual term is. But a lot of people use them for their tomatoes. It's like a cone. It's not the cone of death. We'll never talk about that one. But it's like a cone, and it comes down into a smaller point, and you stick that into the ground, and then your roses or your tomatoes or whatever you use it for, you can wrap it around the metal framework that it is, and you can get it to grow on that. Well, one type of melon that I've been trying to grow wants to grow on a trellis. They recommend you grow on the trellis. These are the Kooka Melons, which are the little tiny sour gherkin type plant. So I think that's what's growing here. I want to say that's what's growing here. I think I made the mistake of double seeding the same garden bed. I hope not, but I reseeded the other garden bed on Thursday, hoping that maybe I can get some growth out of it. But if I did double seed the same garden bed, and yes, I'm sure I'm going to hear some people about, why don't you mark it? Why don't you mark it so you know which one? Yeah, I know. So anyway, I got the melons. I got this one going. There's a second one that I think is beginning to shoot up, but one for sure that's already about, from the ground, it's about this high, and it's going up. It's not like a vine that goes on the ground like you get from the other melons. So I'm assuming that this is the Kooka melons. I'm not sure. But I have weaved it around this circular trellis for all intents and purposes. I'm going to call it that. And I'm hoping to see some kind of fruiting, melon growing. Right now what I'm seeing is leaves and some vines being grown. But we'll see what happens. So I'd like to hear from some of you people out there that are backyard growers, front yard growers, whatever growers, and let me know what you're trying to grow this planting season. I know melons are big, cucumbers are big. I'm not sure about eggplants, but other types of gourds are big right now. I didn't really want to do any pumpkins. I'd rather try to get the melons done. I'm a big melon eater, so we'll see if I can get any of those done. But tell me what you're trying to grow this season, and how long you think it's going to take for yours to get to see anything. And then if you have some pictures, send me some pictures as well. I always like to see what my fellow gardeners are trying to do, to see if maybe it will help me out. So there you have on the melons. So that's the gardening. Let's talk a little bit about sports. For those of you who may not follow the Olympics or the Paralympics, you're missing out. So the Olympics have come and gone. The Paralympics are going on right now. And there are some sports that I had not seen. And I try to follow some of the people in Paralympics as much as the Olympics. I like to see it all because there's some very interesting people. Their stories are very interesting, and then the events are just fantastic. So the other day I saw an individual finishing their triathlon. This was his third time, I believe, winning the triathlon. And I'm always fascinated by not the amount of work they put in, because they are an athlete and they put in the work just like any other athlete does. What I'm amazed and impressed with are the individuals that are there to help support them. Now, this individual, I believe, is blind, and so he was doing a triathlon with a partner. Now, this partner has to be just as good as his team, as the athlete itself. He's still an athlete, but he is in a support role for the true athlete who is running in the Paralympics. And so he did the triathlon. This was his third one. I believe it's the same support guy. And they are fantastic. They are truly working in tandem as a team so that he will not have any problems starting in the middle of the race. It was really cool to see. Great for that guy, U.S. guy, so of course even makes it better. Some great swimming has come out of the Paralympics. A lot of world records, Olympic records being broken. Some fantastic show moments of showing overcoming what modern or normal average society, I shouldn't say normal, average society would consider adversity. I know they're doing kicking ass more than I ever could. I would never even be in the Olympics, para or otherwise, because I just don't have that kind of commitment. And these guys are great. I recommend you watching the swimming. I recommend you watching. Go back and watching some of the track events. Definitely some of the cycling events. Ping pong. There is a very interesting gentleman out of Israel who is playing ping pong. And he is playing literally with his foot and his mouth. It is an amazing thing to watch. More power to him. It's fantastic. And then I found something just the other day called, I believe it's called goal ball. Now this was used for, it's been used for a while as a therapeutic element for helping out individuals trying to retrain themselves, who are initially or for the most part visually impaired, to get them used to being able to move in a world where they can no longer see or they can barely see. So there's two soccer goal style nets on either end of the field, 30 feet long. So they're about twice as long as a soccer goal. Actually, no, they're 60 feet long. So they're twice as long as the soccer goal. They're literally the length or the width of the field. And then there are six. I want to say 3-on-3 game. It's shorter than a basketball court, I believe. And everybody is they're visually impaired of some sort. either full-on blind or partially blind. But in order to level the playing field, everybody wears these masks. So it's a total blackout mask that goes around the eyes, and they're checked by the referees. They're checked to make sure that nobody can see. Everybody's on a level playing field, and so they are all blind for intents and purposes as far as being on the field. Now the ball itself is probably about that big, probably about the size of a medicine ball. I don't know what the weight of it is, but there's bells inside the medicine ball, and it jingle 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 jingle. So that is what the hearing or the visually impaired individuals are using to determine where the ball is. So it's played with, everybody plays on except for the server. Everybody is on the floor. So they stay on the floor on their knees or laying down, and so what they do is they are listening for that ball. The one server has the ball and serves it to try to score a goal. So as the ball is coming at you, you can hear the bells inside of that ball, and so you determine which way you want to try to block the ball. And now most of the way they block the ball is just by laying in front of it, and trying to zone in or hone in on where the ball is. So I posted a little bit on Facebook. Fantastic. I recommend you check it out. They have different styles of serves. Now, one of the ones that the newest serve, leave it to the Brazilians to come up with this. I think the Brazilian serve for volleyball, we all know now, which is the one where they throw it up high in the air and they jump up and they serve, became a favorite from the Olympics. I think from the Olympics, but definitely from the Brazilians, maybe 16, 20 years ago. Now, this is a newer serve. I think it's only been around a couple of years, called the Brazilian style for goal ball. And basically what it is they're shooting it between their legs. They're taking the ball. They are able to take a couple of steps. They turn around and then just shoot that ball back down between their legs towards the goal. So really interesting to watch, really cool. I would love to be able to participate in that just to try it out. It was really cool. Again, top athletes playing this. It was rugged. I also recommend you seeing the wheelchair rugby that came on. Brutal. You think rugby is brutal. Rugby is brutal. But you add a wheelchair component to it, and it's just unbelievable. So more power to those guys out there, men and women who play that. And so anyway, Paralympics, check it out. I think it may be finishing up if it's not finished already, but if you have a chance, go back and watch some of them. I think it's really cool. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to real quick go and get the beer, and we're going to have our beer. Actually, I'm sorry. I almost forgot about our Zen moment. So let's have our Zen moment, and then we'll have a quick beer, and then we'll call it a day. So here's our Zen moment for the day. Okay, so there we have our Zen moment. Now to get to the beer section. So when I say beer, it's kind of a, I'm using it as more of an umbrella term for the stuff I have on here. Now, more often than not, I will have beer on here. For those of you who may not know, if it's your first time watching the podcast, welcome. But what I did prior to my show, Javier In The Air, is I did a beer review, 100 days, 100 beers, beer review for the Boutique, great bottle shop here in Cedar Park. And so just free, I just wanted to do it. It was during COVID. I didn't have a job when I started doing it. So I figured, why not? I might as well do it. So I did it. It totally enjoyed it, and it led to me doing this show. So when I say beer, it's more just an umbrella term for alcohol. So I've had whiskey on here, I've had some port, and then I've had stuff like this. This is Meridian Hive's Lemon, brewed by Meridian Hive out of Austin, so right around the corner from me. It says here, this is their lemon. I've never had this before. A lot of beers that I did, especially during those 100 days, I'd never tried before. And now, over the past 2 seasons, some of the beers I've had on the show, I've had before, and just never reviewed it. But, and then a lot of the shiders and a lot of stuff like this, I've never tried before. So this is Meridian Hive. Now, I like Meridian Hive. I've just never had this from them. So this is their Meridian Hive. This is their lemon. So let me show that. Get their lemon, brewed in Austin, and then it says here, this Austin headliner will keep you rocking all day. Our crisp and refreshing lemon is the perfect complement to take in your favorite musical act. Proceeds from this product will benefit musicians through multiple local charities. So if you like Meridian Hive, which I do, a lot of the money that they get from your purchase goes towards charities, and one of them is to support local musicians, especially during this time of COVID. So let's see, what else can I get from here? Of course, it's gluten-free, for those of you who need to know. It's best to serve cold. And I see if I can get the ABV on this. I don't think I see it anywhere. But that's there it is, 5.0. It's on the front. It's usually on the back or on the side, but here it is on the front, 5.0 ABV. So it's not very high on the ABV, but that's okay. So let's try it out. Got a new glass to use. There it is, very effervescent. A lot of bubbles, not a lot of head, but then again, it's not a beer, so I don't expect it to have a lot of head on there. Very beer look to it, or lemony. I'm going to put it behind the white wall so you can see. If it was a beer, it would be very thin, but it's not a beer, so this is more along the lines of a mead. Good smell to it. Not a strong lemon smell to it, but a good smell nonetheless. It's almost like I don't want to say seltzer because I don't like seltzer. Definitely a lemony taste to it, as you would expect. Kind of like that, you get that nice bite of the citrus, kind of like you do when you have a super cold Sprite, and you open it up and you take that first sip, and it just kind of tingles on your tongue, in the back of your tongue, and on the roof of your mouth. It's kind of like that. Very light, very refreshing, not too sweet at all. It's got that nice sharpness of citrus to it, so it's really good. Yeah, that's good. I'm gonna finish that for sure. So that was Meridian Hive out of Austin. 5.0 ABV. This is their lemon. I've had some of their other stuff. This is really good. And let me make sure while we're talking about it. Let me make sure on something here. See what they say about it. Yes, it's just, they don't, Meridian Hive has their website, meridianhive.com. They consider themselves a brewery, so that's great. They have a lot of different ones. I myself, this is a mead, so they're a meadery as well. And so this is their mead. This is lemon. It's really good. So check it out. If you have a chance, go by the boutique. Say hi to Scott and Jana for me. Let them know that I sent them your way. And try out some of these. Try out this lemon for sure. But try out some of the other beers. They have hundreds, and they will not steer you wrong. They will find something that you will like, I guarantee it. So that's it for today. That's it for the... wow, it really is. Got a lot of packed out gas in there. So I appreciate you watching the show. Thank you very much. If you have a chance, go and watch those Paralympics like I talked about. If you're a gardener, get out there and garden. The sun, some of the clouds are back out again, but it still looks pretty nice. So enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Enjoy your upcoming week, and I will see you again next Sunday. Thanks, everybody.
Mm-hmm.